2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this, and now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, buddy, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Tuesday, the post-Monday celebration, the greatest day of the entire week, and let me tell you why. You've used all your get-go to start off the week. You burned through the majority of your projects, hopefully at work, and now you can focus on you. Do a little bit of you time. Be able to focus and grow, do what you need to do. Welcome into the Voice of Reason, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming on the website at HooserReason.com. Thanks for hanging out with us. Boy, do we have a show lined up for you today. We are less than a week away from a holiday. Can you imagine that? A holiday-ish. Labor Day. Coming up next week. Also next week is a not-so-good holiday, commemoration more so, of September 11th. If you've ever listened to this program in any way, shape, or form, you know that we like to do a big tribute to September 11th on the program because we are by far the most patriotic show on radio and TV and live streaming and everywhere else we are. So we'll do that next week as well. Get prepared for that one. Until then, happy Tuesday. Great to have you along today. Joe Biden, how you doing, buddy? Hanging in there? You're on the campaign trail now. I'm sure it's wearing you down. How you doing?
I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts.
All right. Just making sure. Making sure. We have a big slate for you today. I want to get into some of the campaign contributions based on each individual candidate. And I believe we did this a couple months ago, but I really want to hone in on this as we get closer to the election. Who's really representing these candidates? Because you get focused on it early on and then it kind of fades away. So we'll touch on that here in just a little bit. We have a primary night in the state of good old Massachusetts. And we have actually some great listeners out in Massachusetts, so thank you for that one. And you guys have a primary election tonight in a big one for a Senate seat with an incumbent endorsed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and a incumbent challenger on the Democrat side endorsed by Nancy Pelosi. Oh, yeah, the Democrats still divided, so we'll get into that here in just a little bit as well. But first, as you know, Labor Day coming up next week, plus with now the ticket that is official between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. What are they made up of? What do they stand for? And when we talk about labor, when we talk about workers, when we talk about being able to properly take care of your family, the big Democrats always say that they're for the working class. They're for the working class, and you can see the debate right now. They talk about the unions. They talk about representing the workers, properly taking care of the workers, raising the minimum wage, doing all this stuff, because that apparently is going to help the workers. And I'm not so sure about that. Not so sure. So to talk about their platform going into Labor Day and what's going on the national front, I'm excited to have back on the program. He's a great friend of the show. We love having him on, and it's been a few months since we've had him on, so I think it's time that we bring him back. He is the president of the National Right to Work Committee. He's also the president of the National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation. It's Mr. Mark Mix hanging out with us today. Mark, how are you, brother?
Andy, I'm doing great. I'm still coming down just a little bit on that bumper music, that intro music, and while I was waiting, that was my feet are moving, my body's moving, so thanks for that.
Hey, you know what? We got to keep it entertaining and pumped up. It's an exciting show, and it's an exciting time because I've said it many times before, election season is my Super Bowl. I love election season and following the not just the candidates themselves, but the platform, the branding, the slogans, the advertising, how they present themselves. I get all giddy about the way that they try to do this, and I think that the Democrats have bombed big time when it comes to their campaign message. I think the Republican National Committee, or the convention last week, was absolutely a home run out of the park. But when they try to appeal to the working class, which obviously hasn't worked because Donald Trump carried a lot of the blue-collar working class states at last election, do you think he's going to do it again this year?
Well, I think so. His message is resonating with those folks up there, and the chasm, Andy, between union officials and rank-and-file workers is growing wider and wider, and that's clearly evident in Michigan and Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, those states that delivered the presidency to Donald Trump in 2016. And there's a reason for that. You know, you talk about this political season being a Super Bowl, and, you know, the neat thing about the Super Bowl is that the day afterwards, after you recover from it and your team has lost or your team has won, you get over it. Unfortunately, in politics, for this Super Bowl, the implications are not just getting over it the day afterwards. The implications are very, very large, and particularly when it comes to America's workforce and labor union members and rank-and-file workers across the country. The stakes couldn't be higher. So this Super Bowl, getting over it a day after the game's over is going to be pretty hard if things change dramatically in the country.
Yeah, I mean, we've been going down a really good path, I think. We've been fighting off some of the labor unions. We've been actually being able to open up the... Here's the crazy part. We've been able to fight off the unions. We've been able to bring manufacturing back to the country. We've been able to expand many of the jobs in the nation, and yet the other side says that we're not for the working class. I don't understand their messaging. How does that work, or how does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you'd think if you were a union official, when your primary business product are union dues and allegedly representing employees, that the more jobs that come back to America, particularly manufacturing jobs and those types of jobs that really create great wages and great opportunities for America's middle class, you'd think you'd be all in favor of that. But anything that this president does that makes anybody prosper is something that union officials are all in against. It's amazing, and it really is frustrating to watch it happen when you see, you know, presidents of the UAW and president of the AFL-CIO come out and say, you know, Joe Biden's our guy, and then have this kind of political dichotomy between what the union officials are saying and what rank-and-file workers are doing and voting and how they're operating in the country. The disconnect is getting larger and larger, as I mentioned.
Well, and it's good to see that disconnect, that they're finally starting to wake up to some of that, because, I mean, coming from the state of Ohio just a few months ago, I mean, being back in union territory, the UAW, I mean, a lot of the auto workers, they were all about the union, and trying to debate them or discuss with them certain policy issues, it didn't quite click because, well, that's not what the union told us. That's not what's really going on. And looking at some of the fundraising, which we're going to talk about later in the show, Joe Biden, the vast majority of his fundraising is coming from big donors, including a vast amount of unions to go to that side. You would think, especially for me, if I was a union worker and I was on the Republican or conservative side, I'd be a little upset that my union dues are going towards a candidate that I don't support.
Yeah, absolutely, Andy. There are two anecdotes about that in particular. You know, we do a study every 2 years after the federal election cycle ends, and we go to the records and the reports that union officials file, both at the Department of Labor and with the FEC, about their political activities. And what we find every 2 years is that they spend nearly $2 billion on politics. And I know, Andy, $1 billion anymore is not that big of a deal. We're talking trillions now, and the T means something. Billions are rounding errors when it comes to government. But for activity and political activity, $2 billion every 2 years on federal elections is a lot of money. That's more than the DNC spends. It's more than the RNC spends. It's more than Soros spends. It's more than Bloomberg spends. It's more than Trump spent. It's more than Hillary spent. Big labor is a big player in politics. Interestingly enough, their candidates generally lose, but they spend this type of money. And, Andy, I don't have to quiz you about how that money gets spent and what political party gets it. At least gets 93 to 97% of it. That's one political party. And, if you're a rank-and-file worker who believes in the Second Amendment, who opposes increased taxes and believes that, we ought to let people live their lives, and then you see your union officials taking your money, turning around and spending it on causes and politicians that you oppose, there's something wrong with that picture.
Well, there's something wrong with the picture when you have an endless supply and endless funnel of money coming into you that you can spend on whatever you want politically, which is, by the way, the American worker that you say that you represent, and I find that just sad. So let's talk about the platform of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for a second. If they do get elected, God forbid, and I know you guys are nonpartisan, but predominantly you can see the lines on one side or the other here. If we see a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris administration, talk about what that would do to states that have passed something like the right to work laws, or something trying to fight off the forced unionism bills, or the big labor direct line to the White House, where they could really get whatever they want to. That would really kill a lot of the manufacturing and production here in this nation. What would this Biden, Kamala Harris administration look like?
Well, first of all, Andy, you're right. I mean, we're nonpartisan, non-political, but we do believe in right-to-work laws, and that's something that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have publicly stated that they would repeal. In fact, Kamala Harris went as far as, when she was still on the stage as a presidential candidate, she went as far as saying she would do it by executive action, which is kind of an interesting idea and an exercise of power when right-to-work laws are legislatively granted by Congress back in the 1930s and passed by states all the way up from 1947 to 2017, states have passed right-to-work laws. It's pretty interesting to hear her talk like that, but it's not surprising. I mean, Joe Biden has been opposed to right-to-work laws for his entire political career, going back to, I think, 43 years ago when he was elected to the U.S. Senate. He is committed to signing a bill that was passed by the House of Representatives with 224 votes back in February of this year, a bill that would outright repeal all 27 state right-to-work laws that are currently in place across the country, including Kansas. It's interesting. They go farther. They say that they would support a bill that would take away or virtually eliminate the secret ballot election for union certification. That means that workers who are in a union campaign don't get to go behind a curtain and cast their votes yes or no for union representation. What happens is the union officials circulate these cards and say, oh, by the way, Andy, you're interested in a pay raise, right? If you're interested in a pay raise, sign this card. Little does a worker know that by signing that card, they have now voted for union representation. There's really no way to get the card back, but once the union is able to get, no matter what the time frame is, 50% plus one of the cards of the people in that unit, they present them to the employer, and now the union represents every single employee in that bargaining unit. That's called card check certification. Harris and Biden have both come out for that. They're also interested in making a cabinet level position for union officials. And so, hypothetically, since Joe Biden was a big supporter of the United Auto Workers Union, and Gary Jones was the current president of that union, at least until about a year ago now, when the FBI raided his home and found that he had been extorting money and stealing money from rank-and-file members, and 10 other of his colleagues at the union executive offices are now either guilty or in jail for stealing workers' money because they can get that money as a condition of someone working in a company, in a plant that's represented by the United Auto Workers Union. So Joe Biden's going to make a cabinet-level position for a union official, even despite the fact, Andy, only 6% of the private sector workforce in the entire country is unionized. 94% of the workers in the private sector are getting paid, they're getting health care, they're getting benefits. Amazingly enough, people may not believe that, but it does happen without a union. But yet Joe Biden is placating and pandering to union officials because of that $2 billion honeypot that that they provide for politics, he's saying that, yeah, we'll give you a position so you can now tell us how to run private sector labor relations in this country. It really is an amazing agenda. It's something that they've talked about every bill that we've seen here and tracked at the National Right to Work Committee for the last 50 years. It's all wrapped up in one big package with a bow on it, and Harris and Biden have both said we would sign that bill if you can get it on our desk.
Wow. How crazy. We got about 30 seconds before we got to take a break so we can kind of lead this into the next segment. But as you mentioned, if they have a position in the White House, in the cabinet to have a say, well, I mean, what would they oversee? Would it just be all of the labor in the country, overseeing all these different corporations? I mean, would they have a say over the regulatory aspects of different companies in the nation?
Well, I guess that's what we would have to presume. If he wants to make it a cabinet-level position, I assume that the President of the United States consults with the Secretary of Defense when they talk about defense matters. They talk to the Health and Human Services Secretary when they talk about those issues, et cetera, et cetera. So in this case, they would talk to them about labor management relations in this country, I suspect.
That's a little concerning to me. Let's take a break here. We're talking with Mark Mix of the National Right to Work Committee. When we come back, we are going into a holiday called Labor Day, and I want to talk about the importance of that because sometimes it's misrepresented, of course, by the media, by the left wing, where it's all about the labor unions that fought so hard for your rights as a worker. And we'll talk about what the real meaning of Labor Day is. Plus, we'll wrap up this conversation with the platform on the Biden-Kamala Harris ticket. It's a little concerning, isn't it? We've done so well working to get the economy back up and going, and that's the alternative? That's the response. That's going to get us going again? Yeah, it makes you wonder a little bit, right? Got to take a break. It's the voice of reason. It's a Tuesday. We got lots to get to. Stay right here.
The voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the voice of reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Missed part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use.
You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
You're darn right you are. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. It is a Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out, no matter where you may be. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. We appreciate it very much. Trying to cram 10 pounds of reason into a 5-pound bag each and every day. Why? Because, well, we have to. There's just that much. So you do what you can. Speaking with Mark Mix, president of the National Right to Work Committee, also the president of the National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation, for another segment here for a few minutes. And Mark, we're going into Labor Day, which happy Labor Day to you. I know everybody gets excited about having a day off, kind of drug through the whole summertime. Now, it's represented in a unique way. We talk about the workers and hoorah, because, I mean, obviously we're working hard each and every day, and we deserve a day to celebrate the fact that we work so much, but yet it always gets misconstrued that, well, because you get a break, because you get a lunch day, because you get time off, because you get a holiday or sick leave, it's because of those unions that fought so hard to represent you, and that's why we have a day called Labor Day. Is that really true?
Well, Andy, you know, we need to be honoring all America's working men and women during Labor Day. And yes, they make the claim that if, you wouldn't have vacation, you'd be working on Sunday night and all 7 days if it weren't for labor unions in this country. But that's just not true. The history, when you go back and look at it, you find that Congress was talking about these things. These were issues that were in the public square, but union officials now, much like history in our country these days, you know, we try to either cancel it or we either change it, one of the two. And that's something that's happened here. Obviously, Labor Day, when it first started out, labor unions had something to do with it. But back when in the early days of labor in the United States, in our Industrial Revolution, as that things developed, they were voluntary associations. They were guilds. They were, window glazers. They were cigar wrapper men. They were hat makers. They were all kinds of different guilds. And the union movement grew up through voluntarism from the late 1800s to the early 1900s, all the way up to 1935. When finally union officials decided that there was a better business model, and that was to get politicians to give them power to force workers to pay dues to get or keep a job in America. I mean, this kind of compulsion has no place in the debate about America's working men and women. It has no place in a debate about, labor unions. Frankly, labor unions, people say, oh, they had their purpose. Well, they had their purpose. They absolutely did, and they do have their purpose, and they will have their purpose. But there is no purpose for forcing someone to pay dues or fees to a union to get or keep a job. And so as we reflect back on Labor Day and what it really means is unions are part of that, and union officials should be part of that, but they shouldn't have the power to speak on your behalf, Andy, or to force you to pay money for the privilege of working. So as we look at Labor Day and we look at the strength of the American workforce and the strength that's made America the envy of the rest of the world in a lot of different perspectives, we have to recognize that it's about America's labor, and labor means more than labor union.
Amen to that. And it's funny because that's not the story that we get told in class. It's all about how the labor union saved us each and every day, which is why we need to praise them so terribly much. We got just about a minute left before we can let you go. But any work right now on the right to work? Any other states that are looking at this? And are you guys being able to advance this any further?
Yeah, we've got a couple plans going up, and we got a Montana situation where we have a legislature that'll probably pass a right-to-work law. We need a governor there who would sign it. The previous governor, who's a lame duck, Steve Bullock, who's running for the Senate, is against right-to-work. In New Hampshire, we have a governor, but we need the pieces of the legislature. In Colorado, we have growing support for right-to-work. So there are lots of opportunities out there. We'll just keep fighting, and we know that eventually freedom in the workplace will win, whether it be tomorrow or next week or next year. We'll just keep fighting for it, and we'll keep winning.
Well, congrats on you guys keep fighting with that, and kudos to you, and keep up the fight, because we need to so much. What bothers me is that so many people fall victim to just the I'm helpless and I need help in order to do this, and I can't do it by myself, like you mentioned with the guilds and them rising up themselves back in the day, being able to fight these fights, and then they fall so weak to just unions of, oh, well, I guess I can't do it myself. I need the union to fight it for me. Mark Mix, we appreciate it very much, my friend. We got to get you back on the show again here real soon.
Andy, thanks for the opportunity, and congratulations on the growth of your program. It's very exciting for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. We're definitely going to keep you as a regular on the program. We love having you on here. Appreciate that. That's Mark Mix with the Right to Work Committee right there. We'll take a break. We'll shift gears a little bit when we come back. Get ready for more shenanigans here on The Voice of Reason on a Tuesday. Stay right here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. national issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the Voice of Reason on a Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Thanks again to Mark Mix coming on the program, the National Right to Work Committee. Interesting perspective when it comes to labor unions, huh? No? Yeah, I love how the left, you're helpless. This is really their entire platform, which it falls in lines with everything else. You're helpless. You cannot do it yourself. You're either a victim, which is why you need to rise up and protest against evil Republicans who just don't care about your super special additional needs, or you join an organization, you join a union, a workers' union, or you join an organization like the Democrats where they do the identity politics. You are special because you're an LGBTQ member. You are special because your skin color is different. You are special because of your gender, whatever it may be. You are so unique in that sense. Republicans don't care. You're right, we don't care. I don't care what your orientation is. I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care what your whatever. I care about your character. And if you're a jerk, you're a jerk. If you're a hard worker, you're a hard worker. If you're a nice person, you're a nice person. End of story. I don't really care. But they got to lump you in, right? They got to put it all into this nice little box. You are in this category now. And therefore, you must vote this way because you are in that said category. If you vote and you are a darker skin color and you vote for Trump, you are an Uncle Tom. You are the worst person alive. Yeah. So, how do we go about that? How do we combat that? Well, we do what we do like that. The National Right to Work Committee, the right to work, the right to you to go to work and not have to pay in order to have that right to work. Think about that for a second. The National Right to Work. Crazy concept, right? You should be able to go and actually get a job and say, I have these skills, I want to work, and you will compensate me X amount. You have the power to negotiate that yourself, and if you don't, then you can go somewhere else. If they try and treat you like garbage, then you can go somewhere else. But no, according to the progressives, you are helpless, you're a victim, and you need someone representing you properly. You need the Democrats to represent you for the LGBTQ or for the dark skin color or for the gender or for whatever. And if you're working, you need to have a union. Therefore, you need to pay your dues in order for them to represent you. Because if you don't, then you are just being abused by the evil corporation, man, because your corporation's going to keep you down. That would be...
You are fake news.
Oh, okay. That's right. Welcome back into the show. By the way, just a reminder for you, it is the beginning of the month. I am working on updating the website for the new month, but the newsletter for the Voice of Reason is coming out at the end of the week on Friday. So if you have not done so yet, you still have an opportunity. I wanted to give a few days, give room here in order for individuals. If you have yet to actually subscribe to the newsletter and become a Hoosier-holic, then just go to the website at HooserReason.com. You can find it. It'll pop up and say, do you want to become a Hoosier-holic? You say, heck yes, I do. It'll send you the little part of the page. You type in your email address. It's free. Boom, there it is. We'll send you the monthly newsletter with some topical discussions of the month. We'll talk about our blog that's on there. We'll have upcoming events for the show, upcoming events in the month, the holidays, and have some fun conversations with that, plus what's going on, the latest with the Hoosier Media Network, which a lot of things are brewing behind the scenes with the Hoosier Media Network as well, and I'm really excited about it. So make sure to go to HooserReason.com. That's Hoosier with no I in it, just like the state, but without the I. HooserReason.com. Sign up for the newsletter. You'll get that here in just a couple of days on Friday, and you can also check out all the great goodies we have on there with our special features, our nice infomercials, which we have not done an infomercial in a while, and I think it's due. I think we need to, so I'm working on that one as well. But make sure to go. You can listen to all the podcasts. You can watch all the videos. It's a great time and have fun exploring HooserReason.com. Here's a headline for you with what's trending of the day.
What's trending today?
So according to DNYUZ.com, whatever it is, apparently some news source, never heard of them before, but that doesn't make them non-legit, so we'll roll with it. Biden expected to surpass $300 million raised in August, shattering the record. $300 million. So, of course, now the media loving the fact that Joe Biden is raising massive amounts of money. He's not doing anything. Staying in his basement, trying to go to different campaign rallies, saying ridiculous things. He's laughing. I mean, if you remember what he said yesterday. Joe, how you doing, buddy? How are those COVID deaths?
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. When you think about it.
Now, you got to think about it for a minute. Once you think about it, then it'll all make sense to you. So he's going out, trying to say something, trying to generate some enthusiasm because he's tanking in the polls. Donald Trump's picking up all the momentum, especially after the Republican National Convention last week. But they say that Joe Biden is set to raise $300 million. Let me ask you a question. If you're not campaigning, you're staying in your basement, you hire a very non-exciting vice presidential candidate like Kamala Harris, who's struggling to hit 3% approval rating in her own presidential campaign. How are you getting $300 million in donations, shattering records left and right? Either people really, really, really hate Trump, or it's coming from average Joe Schmo, you and I's, that are campaigning and actually donating to those campaigns. So we figured we'd look up the numbers, shall we? And according to OpenSecrets.org, they do a great job trying to keep records of all the financials, who the big donors are, where the money's coming from, so you can pay attention, because I think it's important. Should you not pay attention to who's actually donating to these guys? I mean, what they want to see is Donald Trump with a big, bold letter saying, Russia's donating to the President Trump campaigns. That's what they want. So that way we could say, oh, look at that, collusion with Russia. Now, it's not going to happen like that, and it's not true anyways, but that's what they want, so they try and keep a close eye on it. But financial records for campaigns, especially in politics, are extremely transparent, so that way you can watch and follow every cent, and you can find if they're spending it inappropriately or what have you, or where the money's coming from. So, according to OpenSecrets.org, you look up Joe Biden for the presidential run. So far, as of July 31st, so just about a month ago, they reported the campaign committee's fundraising. Outside groups that have come in has reported as of August 21st. Combined, the campaign committee has raised a total of $321 million. Outside organizations have raised nearly $150 million for a total combined profits of $469.5 million into the Joe Biden campaign. They've spent a total of $336 million, so they're sitting on cash on hand roughly about $133 million. You don't really need to know that, but that's just kind of nice information to be like, now I know. When you look at the contributions, it breaks it into large contributions with large, massive, big donors. They break it into small individual contributions, which are $200 or less, meaning usually you and I who actually donate. And that's important because is it the large organization or the large nonprofit or the large business that's donating, or is it the small Joe Schmo, you and me, that's actually donating to these campaigns? According to this, as of August 21st, just a week or so ago, the Joe Biden campaign, 57%, nearly 60% of all the money that's come in from Joe Biden are large contributions. 57%. That includes different action committees. That includes PACs. That includes unions. That includes the big, large donors. 42%, less than half, way less than half, are small contributors, which are $200 or less, which attribute to $139 million. That's Joe Biden. Now, the progressives that hate the big donors, that hate the evil rich, that hate the evil richy rich people, that's who they're supporting. They're supporting Joe Biden, where nearly 60% of all of his contributions come from large donors. And just over 40% actually come from small contributors of $200 or less with donations to his campaign, meaning they're not getting those types of money. Now, they could be donating into super PACs. They could be donating to, like the Black Lives Matter organization. Did I say that out loud? They could be donating to that, and then it actually go towards the campaign, and that could be considered a large lump sum. So you could be donating in smaller forms in other ways, but directly to the campaign. Joe Biden, I love you. Here is every little bit that I can donate to you. Here's $50, way less than half of his contributions. Now, let's go to Donald Trump, shall we? Moving over to Donald Trump's campaign. He has raised a total of the campaign committee by itself, meaning the campaign organization itself, $414.5 million. Outside groups of $90 million for a total combined coming in as of August 21st of $504.7 million into the campaign. A little bit different than Joe Biden's $469 million. We're beating him on that amount of money. That's awesome. Momentum for Trump? You'll have to decide that one. Let's go into where it's broken down to. Small contributions, less than $200 or more, make up 55% of Donald Trump's total contributions at $229 million. I know this is a lot of money throwing at you and a lot of numbers. Bear with me. The point of the matter, the fact here, small individual contributions of $200 or less make up well over half of Donald Trump's contributions, totally at 55%. Large contributors make up 44%. They're literally reversed. The average Joe Schmo, the average you and I, the average worker, the truck worker, the manufacturer and the labor factory worker, the person working in the office every day, the small business owner that can only handle maybe a $100 contribution, all of them, majoritively, they're going to Donald Trump. He's not getting the big donors like Joe Biden is. And by the way, his small contributors there's more money coming in from small contributions. Think about this for a second. There's more money coming in from small contributions to Donald Trump. The $50, the $5, the $10, the $100. There's more of that coming in to Donald Trump than what is coming in from large contributors to Joe Biden. Total for the small contributions to Donald Trump was $229 million. The large contributors coming into Joe Biden is $187 million. We have more people donating at larger mass quantities to Donald Trump in small amounts than there are large contributors coming in to Joe Biden. Now, if that doesn't show momentum on one side or the other, I don't know what does. If that doesn't show what side the American people are on or even businesses are on, I don't know what does. The only money coming into Joe Biden essentially are labor unions, super PACs, and large organizations. That's it. Everybody else is going to Donald Trump. But, by the way, Joe Biden's got all the momentum, right? Joe Biden, he's got it. Right on there. When we come back, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the primary going on in Massachusetts. Your thoughts on that one is there's a big race and another divisive election going on for the Democrats. We'll do that when we come back on The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day.
So it's a win-win.
Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station.
We're here for you.
Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome into the Voice of Reason. One more segment left. Thanks for hanging out with us no matter where you may be. If I can speak today, radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, doesn't really matter. We appreciate that each and every day for you hanging out and talking the talk, walking the walk, advancing conservatism on a daily basis, and trying to have a little fun doing it too, trying to rebrand the millennial generation one radio listener at a time, because we have to, because we're nuts, and I apologize for it each and every day. So we're going into election season today.
Election 2020.
Yeah, there we go. So Massachusetts has its primary election today, and the tear between Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Nancy Pelosi continues. So we have a big race between another Kennedy, which the Kennedys have a long history in that area, and that's being endorsed, by the way, by Nancy Pelosi because, well, she's in bed with the Kennedys. Not physically, but metaphorically speaking. She has worked with them, obviously, the establishment-type Democrats. See, again, this is the ultimate division that the Democrats are struggling with, their identity crisis. Do we continue with the old norm, with the old-school Democrats, the Kennedys, the Clintons, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Harry Reid? Do we continue on down this road, or do we try and do the new face of new voices within the Democrat Party, which are the more socialist, radical, left-wing progressives? And so we have the incumbent against the traditional one. We have Markey, which is the incumbent, endorsed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Why? Because he has endorsed her and worked with her on the Green New Deal, so he's a very left-wing progressive senator in this race, against the challenger. That's a Kennedy, another Kennedy that Nancy Pelosi is going after. So the identity crisis continues against the Democrats, and I love it. I think it's hilarious watching them just beat each other up. And really, they're kind of neck and neck in the polls. Depending on what poll you look at, you have anywhere from Kennedy winning by 16 points to Markey winning by 12 points. So they're all just kind of scattered all over the place. You don't know what's going to happen in Massachusetts tonight, but I think it's important for us to follow, because will this be really the test of time, the ultimate? I mean, if anybody's going to win or beat an incumbent or take over based on the name, based on the money, based on the popularity, it's going to be a Kennedy. And if this is going to be the telltale sign of, wow, the establishment Democrats are desperate to take hold of this party again, which really kind of showed through. I mean, their desperation was leaking out of their pockets just a little bit a couple weeks ago during their Democrat National Convention, when they were trying to hype up not only the establishment candidates or the establishment elected officials, but also was trying to bring in moderate Republicans as well. And look, we're not crazy progressives. We're not extremists on that fringe side. We're moderates. We get along with both sides. Look at the moderate Republicans endorsing us. And that's what they tried to portray during their Democrat National Convention. At the same time, there's riots and protests and vandalizers and looters and everything else going on out in the streets that they, by the way, created while they say, it's Donald Trump's fault. So while they tried that, they were sitting there trying to create this message that they're the moderates in the party, which just doesn't make any sense. So this is the telltale sign. Will the incumbent of the left-wing progressive Green New Deal hoorah extremist continue to represent the state of Massachusetts, or will a Kennedy come back and be able to take that seat because he's a Kennedy and he's an establishment and he's going to work alongside Nancy Pelosi and all the moderate quote-unquote Democrats that they have in office? How is this going to play out? I'm excited to find out, because this could really sway the mindset of the Democrats one way or the other when they talk about their platform and how to move forward. On the other side of the aisle, the Republicans are doing something that I don't think has ever been done before that's really neat, and it's more transparency than ever before. While they criticize Republicans for not having the proper platform or not voting on a platform, the first time in 160 years they didn't pass a platform. And I talk about this, by the way, in the newsletter and in the blog coming out this month, so make sure to sign up for that at HooserReason.com. Little plug in there, but that's coming out with our blog this month, talking about the Republican Party and the lack of platform that we have. We don't need one, and by the way, we have more unity within the Republican Party than I think we've ever had in our lifetime before, so that's something exciting. Plus, now there is a constitutional rights PAC that is pushing a virtual, first ever, live stream candidate vetting series that's going to be open to the public nationwide. Any candidate running for any seat as a Republican nationwide can come onto this virtual stream. You can jump onto the virtual stream, vet them, ask them questions, and see if they fit in line with your political beliefs on the Republican side or not. So while they bicker and try and have a power grab on the other side of the aisle, we're vetting them and actually doing proper interviews with Republican candidates nationwide to see whether they fit the Republican message or not. That's how awesome we are, and that's how much they're struggling on that side of the aisle. That does it for us today here on The Voice of Reason. Make sure to be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. It's The Voice of Reason. Back at it tomorrow with some awesome guests again. Coming up, you're not going to miss it. Podcast going up a little bit. Until then, everybody have a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.